Welcome back. You know, we all want to get the key insights, get smart fast, but without wading through tons of fluff.
Exactly. You want those surprising facts, the stuff that makes you go, huh, but efficiently.
Well, that's what we aim for. And today, we're diving into something a bit different. We're looking at school field trips.
But not the usual museum snooze fests or permission slip dramas.
No, these are unusual, maybe even unsettling. We've gathered some firsthand accounts actually found in a YouTube video where people shared some really strange experiences.
Yeah, things that happened on what should have been totally normal school outings.
Right. So our mission, if you will, for this deep dive is to explore these stories, trips to wildlife parks, museums, even stargazing, and see what makes them tick. Are there common threads? What turns a standard field trip into something weird?
We got quite a range. Like you said, wildlife park, history museum, a nighttime trip, art museum, a hike. Definitely not your average permission slip content.
Okay, so let's jump in. Where does the first story take us?
All right, story one. Middle school. Wildlife park. It's warm weather, you know the vibe.
Oh yeah, I can picture it. Sunshine, kids kind of buzzing around. So the narrator and a friend, Austin.
That's right, Austin. They do what kids that age often do. They wander off the marked trail a bit.
Yeah, classic. Just exploring, right? Maybe bored with the official tour?
Probably a bit of both. Curiosity, maybe testing the boundaries, like you said. Anyway, they stumble into this clearing.
Yeah.
And there are two older teenagers there, smoking. The narrator suspects maybe something stronger than cigarettes.
Okay, so a slightly awkward encounter. You'd think the middle schoolers would just, quietly back away.
That seems to be the plan initially. They turn around, start walking away, but then things get strange.
How so?
Well, first they hit a dead end, a marsh. So they can't just keep walking straight back.
Ah, okay. Trapped, almost.
Sorta. And then they hear footsteps coming up behind them. It's the two older teens.
Okay, that's unnerving.
And then suddenly, rocks start being thrown at them.
What?
Yeah.
Rocks, just like that.
Yeah. No warning, no clear reason. 1 minute, teens smoking. The next, they're actively chucking rocks at these younger kids.
That's a huge escalation. Why? Did they say anything?
Apparently not. It's just this sudden, unexplained aggression. They just start throwing rocks.
Wow. So what did the narrator and Austin do? They're cornered by a marsh, getting rocks thrown at them.
They run. Instinct kicks in. They bolt back through the woods. Can hear the footsteps chasing them for a bit.
That must have been terrifying.
Absolutely. Thankfully, they managed to lose them and slip back into the class group without anyone noticing they were gone or what happened.
Jeez, so the key thing there is just the randomness, the sudden hostility with no clear trigger.
Exactly that. The inexplicable shift. It really injects this sense of unease, how quickly things can turn. Okay, let's shift gears. Story two.
Where are we now?
High school this time. A history museum. And the narrator introduces us to a classmate named John.
Okay. And I'm guessing John isn't exactly Mr. Popular.
Yes. That's right. Described as a bully, a troublemaker, generally disliked. You know the type.
Unfortunately, yeah. So, history museum, disliked classmate. I have a bad feeling about this.
Well, your feeling is spot on. The narrator's looking at an exhibit, like one of those old town mock-ups.
Yeah, I know the kind.
And John comes up and just pushes them. Shoves them right over the little railing and into the exhibit.
Into the exhibit. Seriously, that's not just bullying, that's potentially damaging stuff and maybe dangerous.
Totally. And the immediate aftermath isn't great either. A museum worker comes over, sees the narrator in the exhibit, and starts scolding them.
Oh, come on. Did they explain they were pushed?
They tried, but the worker didn't believe him. And of course, John has vanished by this point.
Typical. So the victim gets blamed and the bully gets away clean. For now.
For now. But John isn't done. This is where it gets really calculating.
Okay.
Later on, a friend shows the narrator John's Snapchat story.
Oh.
And in the story, John is posing with this old, authentic-looking hat. The narrator recognizes it instantly.
Let me guess from the exhibit.
Bingo. Stolen right from the museum display he just pushed the narrator into.
Wow. The nerve. And he's posting it online.
Bragging about it, yeah. It shows a certain lack of fear of consequences, doesn't it?
Or maybe just stupidity.
Yeah.
So he stole the hat. How does this come back to the narrator?
The next day at school, the narrator opens their locker, and guess what's hidden inside?
No, the hat.
The stolen museum hat.
Oh, that's low. He's trying to frame them.
Exactly. It wasn't just about the push or the theft. It was a setup. A really malicious move.
That takes it to a whole different level. Did it work? Did the narrator get blamed?
Thankfully, no. The narrator immediately goes to their history teacher, explains everything, the push, the Snapchat, finding the hat.
Did the teacher believe them, given the museum worker didn't?
Yes. Crucially, the teacher did believe them. And it's helped that another student came forward and said they also saw John's Snapchat story with the hat.
Corroboration. That's key.
Absolutely. So the truth comes out. John gets suspended, and apparently he ended up dropping out of school later on.
Wow. Well, good. That's some serious payback for some seriously nasty behavior.
Whoa.
What stands out most here for you?
It's that deliberate malice, isn't it? The calculated framing attempt. It shows how bullying can escalate way beyond just physical stuff.
Yeah. And the importance of someone in authority actually listening and believing the victim.
Yeah.
Okay, where to next?
Next up, we're moving to college. A nighttime field trip.
Nighttime. Okay, that already adds a different mood.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It was for extra credit, a stargazing trip to a park a few miles from campus.
Sounds nice, actually. Peaceful.
Should have been, but the narrator notices someone, a man, lingering at the edge of the woods, just watching the class.
Watching. And not like a student or part of the group.
No, definitely not. The narrator got the sense he was older, didn't look like a student, just observing from the shadows almost.
Okay, that's a bit creepy. An outsider just watching a student group at night.
Yeah, and it gets weirder. The man starts moving closer, still watching, and seems to be focusing specifically on the narrator.
Oh, that's not good. That feeling of being singled out and watched.
It made them really uneasy, as you'd expect. But the weirdest part,
Here's more.
at the end of the trip, everyone's getting back on the bus to go back to campus. And the narrator sees the same man getting onto the bus with them.
What? How? He wasn't part of the class.
Exactly. The narrator's certain he wasn't a student, didn't have the worksheet they were given, nothing. But somehow, he gets on the bus.
That's a huge red flag. How did no one else notice? Or the professor?
It's unclear, maybe in the darkness and the shuffle of everyone getting on, but it's a major breach, isn't it? A stranger on the class bus.
Totally. So what happens when they get back to campus?
The narrator gets off the bus and starts walking back towards their dorm. Alone.
Don't tell me.
They look back, and yeah, the same man is following them. Keeping a distance, but definitely following.
Oh my god. Okay, that's moved from creepy observation to active pursuit.
And again, he clearly doesn't look like a student heading back to the dorms, no backpack, nothing, just following.
What did the narrator do?
They picked up the pace, basically rushed to their dorm building, fumbled with their key fob to get inside the locked door.
Safe, thank goodness. Did he follow right to the door?
He did. The narrator looked out after getting inside, and the man was right there outside the glass doors, trying the handle, even banging on the door for a bit.
No way. That's terrifying. He tried to get into the dorm.
Yeah, just stand there banging on the door. After a while, he eventually gave up and left.
Wow. That's incredibly scary, the persistence of it. From lurking, to the bus, to following, to trying to get in.
It really is. The escalation is the most chilling part. What starts as unease becomes a direct physical threat, almost.
Makes you think about campus security, too. Okay, story number 4. Where does this one happen?
We're back in high school, this time an art class field trip. They're at the Cranbrook Art Museum.
Okay, art museum, usually pretty calm, contemplative places.
You'd think so. During a break, the narrator feels a bit alone, decides to take a walk on a path outside the museum building. The path leads into some nearby woods.
Okay, so walking alone again. That seems to be a bit of a pattern here, this isolation element.
It does seem to crop up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Being separated from the main group.
Yeah.
So they're walking on this path near the woods, and they hear a voice, a man's voice, calling for help from somewhere off the path, deeper in the woods.
Okay, help. That's a tricky one. Your instinct is to, well, help.
Exactly. So the narrator hesitates, maybe moves a little closer to where the sound came from, and then a man emerges from the trees.
What did he look like? Did he seem hurt?
He's wearing a camouflage jacket and jeans. He claims he hurt his foot and needs help, asks the narrator to follow him further into the woods.
Whoa, hold on. Camo jacket, asking a teenager to go deeper into the woods alone. Alarm bells.
Big time. He clearly doesn't look like a museum employee or anyone associated with the school group. It feels off.
Yeah, it feels like a lure. Did the narrator go?
They hesitated, understandably. And when they hesitate, the man gets annoyed, insistent. Come on, I need help. That kind of thing.
Okay, pressure tactic.
Yeah. The narrator takes maybe a step or two closer, still unsure, and then the man just sprints right at them.
What, from needing help for a foot injury to sprinting?
Exactly. The injury was clearly fake, it was a trap, and when the narrator didn't take the bait fully, he just charged.
That's horrifying. What happened?
The narrator turned and ran as fast as they could back toward the museum building.
Did he chase them?
They didn't look back, but they heard him laughing behind them as they ran.
Laughing? Oh, that's sinister.
Isn't it? They got back to the museum, found their class, and stayed close for the rest of the day. But just imagine, wondering what would have happened if they'd gone further into the woods.
Yeah, that's deeply unsettling. The fake plea for help turning into an aggressive approach. Okay, we have one more.
One more. This one's a hiking field trip. High school again.
Hiking. Lots of trails, nature.
Yeah.
Seems pleasant enough.
Should be. It's a park with extensive trails. And, perhaps predictably now, the narrator somehow ends up hiking alone for a stretch.
Separated from the group again, okay.
And as they're walking alone, they look up and see something really bizarre.
An animal?
Nope. A man. Sitting way up high in a tree.
Sitting.
Yeah.
In a tree, like perched on a branch.
Yeah. Just sitting up there, not climbing, not doing anything else, just sitting.
That is odd. Really odd. Why would someone do that?
Who knows? It's just inherently strange, right? So the narrator sees this, thinks it's weird, and keeps walking past the tree.
Okay.
Moments later, they hear something behind them. They look back. The man has climbed down from the tree.
Okay. Maybe he was just resting.
Maybe. But then he starts walking behind the narrator, following them on the trail.
Oh. Okay, that changes things. From weird tree sitter to potential follower.
Exactly. The narrator starts to feel uneasy, picks up the pace a bit, starts jogging. And the man, he speeds up too. Matches their pace.
So it's definitely following now, not a coincidence.
Doesn't seem like it. The narrator starts running properly then, and thankfully manages to get away, loses him on the trails.
Phew. Okay, so weird guy in a tree, then a chase. Is that the end of it?
Not quite. A bit later on the hike, presumably after they've calmed down a bit, the narrator's walking again. And they see him again.
The same man. Where?
Off the trail this time, partially hidden behind a tree. Just watching.
Ugh. Lurking now. So he didn't give up entirely.
Apparently not. It suggests that the whole thing, the tree, the pursuit, wasn't just random weirdness. There was some kind of intent there, even if we don't know what it was.
That is just bizarre. The whole sequence, what do you even make of that?
It's hard to say, isn't it? It lacks the clear maliciousness of the framing story or the art museum lure, but it's just so deeply strange it leaves you feeling really uneasy.
Definitely. So looking back at all 5 of these stories are quite something.
They really are. And you start to see those threads, don't you?
Yeah. Like we mentioned, that sense of being isolated or separated from the group seems pretty key in a few of them.
And then the sudden appearance of strangers, people who clearly don't belong in the school context.
Right. And that jarring shift. Things seem normal, maybe a bit boring, and then boom, something deeply weird or unsettling happens.
That vulnerability. You're supposed to be supervised, safe. It's a school event. But these stories show how quickly that can evaporate.
They really do. These accounts, they stick with you because they feel quite raw, quite real. That potential for the unexpected lurking just beneath the surface.
Yeah, and it leaves you wondering, what's the explanation? Are these just misunderstandings blown out of proportion? Weird pranks gone wrong?
Or is it something more calculated, more concerning? Were some of these people genuinely dangerous?
We don't really know, and that's part of what makes them unsettling. It forces you to think about those gray areas, those moments where things just feel off.
That line between the everyday and the unexplained. These field trips definitely crossed it. Lots to think about there.